He's saying David is looking back to where he's remembering his life. And he says, I remember when I sang his praises in my childhood days, when I herded my sheep. Oh God, take me back to that place. Take me back to my first love. Take me back and give me back my shepherd's staff. Give me back my herd of sheep. Let me alone back there to worship you. Don't read ahead. He says, I want to go back. He's hurt. He's broken. The responsibility of carrying the promise is so great upon him. The reproach is so great, he'd rather go back to his days of plowing the fields. He'd rather go back to just the staff and the sheep. And so what's compelling him to return is fear. What's compelling him to return is unbelief. What's compelling him to return is discouragement in his life. The word never said, go back to being a shepherd of sheep. The word said, you're the anointed king. But David's saying, I don't see any manifestations of that promise in my life right now. I do not see that. I do not understand how you can do that. So God, take me back. Sometimes the fear of the unknown in front of us pushes us to go back to what's familiar. But God says, don't look back. It is vile in his sight to look back. It is the mouth of the false prophet. It is the mouth of the dragon. In other words, it's antichrist to look back. Brother Branham says, don't look back. Take the rearview mirror off. Because if you look back, you're looking to the antichrist and you'll crash. In your life, in your doctrine, in your church. Don't look back. But David, in his discouragement, says, can't I just go back? But let's not forget, he's carrying the promise. So now, the very thing that has become his burden is the very thing that's going to resurrect him from the pit. It's the very thing that's going to lift him from his discouragement. That's sometimes we think that, but we're in the heat of the battle. Something has got to be done. We were boys once, we're grown-up men now. The fight is on. I remember when the sawdust boiled up on the floor and the people screamed and shouted and you couldn't get around the place. Nowhere here for people, but it's not that way today. He says the battle is on. It's not William Branham, the little boy preacher anymore. You got to produce something. David, you have to produce something. It's not good enough that you were a shepherd and that you did it really good and you slayed the bear and you slayed the lion. That's good, but that's not enough. You need to produce something in your life. There's got to be something different. This time, the time is on. The battle is on. The heat is on. The time to be delivered, the people, everyone is found written in the book. Now the time has come. David is in his discouragement, is trying to go back, but something rises up within David. The very thing he's carrying that's causing discouragement rises up within him, and he says, but, you see, he probably knew the story of Job, and he says, but I know my Redeemer liveth. But I know that one day I shall see God in this flesh, though it be destroyed. One day you will see God. Not when you die, not when you rapture, but right now. You have a promise of the word given to you, calling you up, saying, you can do it, you can do it. Because you're carrying the promise.